Good evening. Coming up next at 5, government shutdown on its 38th day as flights begin to see major disruptions across America's busiest airports. Under the new flight reduction order from the FAA, what we could expect going into the weekend and beyond. And the count continues. Tonight, there's a new leader for Spokane District 1 race. Belle Lewis talks with the candidates. We'll explain what it takes to trigger a recount. And I'm with you, Leslie. Winter's my least favorite month as well.
Thank you so much for, being a part of that with me. January, too, is my least favorite month. So we saw widespread rain last night. It was incredible how heavy the rain was at times. We cleared out throughout the afternoon. A nice weekend ahead. We're going to take you through that, get a full look at that weather forecast. Stick around. Happy Friday. NonStop Local at 5 starts now.
Sean Owsley and Leslie Lowe with content connecting our community. You're watching NonStop Local KHQ at 5.
And our lead story tonight, throughout the day into this evening, airlines canceling hundreds of flights after the FAA ordered reduction at 4 major U.S. airports, which may include routes directly connected to Spokane International. Good evening, and you've made it to Friday evening. Good to be with you each and every night. I'm Sean Owsley. Thanks for joining us. We are tracking the number of flight delays and cancellations across U.S. airports. Total delays within, into, or out of the U.S. surpassing 5,000, while more than 1,000 flights have been canceled altogether. A live look from the misery map for the number of flights expected to be impacted going into the weekend. You can see those numbers on your screen. Expected flight delays in the U.S. topping 130. Expected flight cancellations could surpass 700. Seattle Tacoma issuing a statement earlier today as the order went into effect, sharing in part, quote, "Our teams will continue to help you and our partners in any way we can as these changes gradually take effect over the next week. Keep checking in with your airline ahead of your trip and plan to arrive the recommended 2 hours ahead of domestic flights, 3 hours ahead if you're traveling internationally." Maribel Gonzalez shares more on what you need to know if you are flying and some advice to help you out on that journey.
We're hoping for the best, but, we have no control over that.
The Federal Aviation Administration has ordered a reduction in domestic flights across 40 major U.S. airports, starting with a 4% cut Friday as the government shutdown continues. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy citing safety as the driver for the airspace closures.
We're trying to prevent the pressure that we now see building in the system.
Air traffic controllers among those bearing the brunt of the shutdown. Now weeks without pay, many are calling in sick and some are even resigning, according to their union leader.
They're calling in saying, I don't have enough gas to get to work, to their employer, to their supervisor and manager, and saying, what do you want me to do?
Anticipating the FAA order, several major airlines canceled hundreds of flights scheduled for Friday and into the weekend. Passengers affected will receive a refund for their canceled flights. Meanwhile, travel experts are urging patience.
The more people are prepared and the more they are informed as to what's going on, the better.
And if you are jetting off this weekend,
download your airline's app and turn on notifications. That's how you're going to find out if your airline has canceled or delayed. Have a plan B in place already before there's any cancellation.
Spokane International Airport maintaining passengers should continue to download the airline's app you just heard there for the latest information regarding your specific flight. Be prepared before you go. All right, be prepared for the weekend. We don't need any preparation. We're ready to roll into that weekend, right?
I think we're good.
I don't even know what I was trying to sell there.
I don't know, but I was buying it for sure.
Yeah, it's a penny stock.
I'll pay double. I'll pay double. Right. So 2 pennies.
I'll take 2 pennies there. That's about what my anchoring's worth tonight.
Well, that's kind of how I feel, which is why we're glad it's Friday.
Yes.
That's right. All right, let's get a look at that weather forecast because we saw widespread and heavy rain last night. We cleared out this afternoon. It's been beautiful, actually. Temperatures currently sitting in the low end of the 40s from Spokane into Coeur d'Alene and Pullman at 43 degrees and 46 degrees right now in Chewelah. Winds remain a little bit breezy on and off. We're starting to see those wind gusts die down, and we'll continue to watch for those winds to quiet down as we head into the overnight. So we've got partly cloudy skies expected for tonight. Likely going to see some patchy fog and or freezing fog settle in within the overnight hours and early tomorrow morning as well, which means if you have got anything that gets you on the roadways early tomorrow morning, if you're traveling, please keep an eye out for that sheen and icy roadways because that can be incredibly dangerous and sneaky. We're talking about temperatures into the mid-20s around Colville, upper 20s around Troy and Libby, low into the 30s, so below freezing in Spokane, mid-30s around Coeur d'Alene, and then we pop into the mid to upper 30s between Tri-Cities and Lewiston. When I see you back here in just a few minutes, Sean, we'll get a full look at that weekend forecast. I think you're going to like it. I'm excited.
Look forward to that. I got out for a long walk this morning. The sunshine,
perfect.
crisp. It was awesome. NonStop Local KHQ, your election headquarters. We're still tracking new information coming to us from the Spokane County Elections Office and how you voted, including the race for City Council District 1. New ballot numbers released this afternoon. A very tight race, still very tight, between Jonathan Bingle and challenger Sarah Dixit. Both candidates neck and neck for the first time in the count. Dixit now leading by 53 votes. NonStop Local KHQ's Belle Lewis joins us live. Belle, as the count continues, it's important to emphasize the election doesn't get certified for about another 2.5 weeks. That won't happen until then. But as this race is so close, you reached out to both candidates today, first of all, to get their thoughts as those votes continue to be counted.
Yeah, good evening, Sean. There are two types of recounts in Washington state. One is a requested recount, which is when the candidates ask for those ballots to be recounted, and another is mandatory, and it's that mandatory count that we're looking at tonight. Now, state law says that if the difference between the top two candidates is less than 2,000 votes and also less than 0.5% of the total number of votes cast for both candidates, then there needs to be a machine recount. But if the difference between the top two candidates is less than 150 votes and also less than 0.25% of the total votes cast for both candidates, then the ballots have to be manually recounted. If a recount is needed, Spokane County Auditor Vicki Dalton says that takes place after the election will be certified on November 25th.
That can take anywhere from 3 to 10 days, depending upon the size of that particular election.
Now, during that recount process, election workers will either rerun ballots or manually recount them. When the gap was 68 votes earlier Friday afternoon, it still didn't indicate a mandatory recount. But obviously, new numbers showing Dixit ahead by 53 votes. Now, we did reach out to Dalton to confirm if this margin triggers a recount, and it does. But there are still votes outstanding. That could change if that recount is needed. NonStop Local also reached out to Jonathan Bingle and Sarah Dixit to hear from them about the possibility of a recount.
The people deserve to be represented by who they want to be represented by, and it's incredibly important that we make sure we get that right.
I think this is a testament to how hard we worked and how hard our volunteers worked and our team just getting the vote out and talking to people.
Now, both Bingle and Dixit tell me they're awaiting the next several rounds of election results. As of this evening, there's about 10,000 ballots left to be counted. And while not all 10,000 will go towards this Bingle and Dixit race, some certainly will. So we're going to keep an eye on those numbers and bring you updates as we get them. In Spokane, I'm Belle Lewis, NonStop Local.
Belle, thank you. Well, since its approval more than a week ago, you've heard a lot that Spokane police are enforcing the new Safe and Accessible Spaces Ordinance, logging more than 300 face-to-face contacts, issuing more than 100 citations for camping in public spaces. Business owners say they're ecstatic. They've seen massive improvement. NonStop Local's Will Glasby went to the western edge of the enforcement zone to see what's happening on the perimeter of downtown. Will, what'd you learn?
Yeah, Sean, enforcement is definitely happening, and Spokane police say that they're citing. When they cite someone, that person is free to leave. But what the city doesn't track is where they go next.
In the first week of the ordinance, 300 people were contacted by police. 34 accepted services. SPD says if someone rejects the offered service, officers can issue a citation, and then the person is free to leave. They say they then track those citations in mornings, but where that person goes next?
We've noticed an increase in the homelessness, an increase in the crime and the human waste, an increase in the vulnerable population without roofs over their head as winter's coming, camping in and around our place of business.
Gavin Tenold runs Northwest Renewables, just beyond the downtown line west of the Sunset Bridge, and says the past week has felt different.
For reference, we're just over the Sunset Bridge, downtown being right behind me. This is the easiest direction to go to find open space and open land.
He says the current approach is not solving homelessness, just shifting it outwards. Just down the hill, in the woods nearby, people camping also noticing changes.
We don't have access to electricity. We don't have phones or TV, so we don't know the laws or city ordinances. And it's really hard to follow the law if you're not even aware of what the law is. So all of a sudden police will show up and then we're getting arrested and we don't know why.
Both Jamie and Gabriel have coexisted with businesses like Gavin's for the last few months and echoed that citations aren't moving people into shelter, just further away from downtown.
There's a bunch of new faces out here. We weren't sure why. It makes sense though now because all they're doing is taking the homeless people downtown and they don't want to see the problem down there, so they shove them out and then they end up here. And yeah, we feel like criminals. We feel like we have to hide from the police, and we're law-abiding citizens. We just have no place to go.
And according to data available through 311, since the ordinance passed, Spokane has reported 74 public camping instances reported through that system. Reporting in Spokane, Will Glasby, NonStop Local.
Well, thank you. A developing story tonight. The world of artificial intelligence only continues to grow and intensify. More and more people using AI chat bots for emotional support, even companionship. That was the topic discussed today with the state's AI task force in the state capital of Olympia. NonStop Local KHQ's Morgan Ashley listened in on that discussion. This is the real Morgan that you're looking at. Today they brought in leading experts in the field. What'd you learn?
Yeah, we have to clarify nowadays, right, Sean?
It is getting so confusing, and it is what it is.
It is what it is, yes. And this conversation was centered around those chatbots. But the bigger picture issue here is depression and feelings of loneliness have skyrocketed. Jody Halpern from the School of Public Health at UC Berkeley says AI companies saw this as an opportunity to develop companion chatbots. She says, in fact, 1/3 of teens have an ongoing emotional relationship with a chatbot and would rather confide there than any person. That comes from research by Common Sense Media in July of this year.
Many users ask ChatGPT to simulate being a therapist. Chatbots do simulate being a therapist, and there's controversy over how much they then disclose that they're not, but they simulate being therapists, including providing fake license numbers and PhD pedigrees. A study that just came out 3 weeks ago from ChatGPT showed that 1.2 million people, users a week, discuss suicidal intent and their concerns about suicidal intent with ChatGPT.
So although on the surface, this looks like a resource, right? Halpern points out to cases where the bots can actually go rogue and may even encourage someone to harm themselves. In addition to that, they are engineered in such a way it can create an addiction, much like what social media has done to younger generations already. So really, what is the solution here? That is why these discussions are being had, but they ended today's conversation talking about state regulation and not allowing these bots to manifest the way that social media already has. Today's conversation was really centered about being informational more than anything else, and it's really just the beginning when it comes to what we should be doing to protect kids. But there is a resource, and it's in your hand, and it's quick, and a lot of times people need it right away. So there's a give and take here.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, especially if you're concerned about your kids and AI and ChatGPT and all of that, just sit them down. Take a little face-to-face time.
Yeah, there we go.
Right. Morgan, appreciate it. Happy Friday, by the way.
You too.
All right. Still to come tonight at 5, same-sex marriage legalized in 2015 could be reevaluated. The case has the Supreme Court reconsidering the ruling. And the Zags get to test their skills tomorrow with the SEC's Oklahoma Sooners coming to town. SWX gets you primed for that matchup and that showdown.
And we see weather quiet down as we get you into the weekend. Ridge 5 pressure building in, what that means for you when we see you back here on the other side of the break.
Tonight, flight frustrations with hundreds of flights canceled today alone. Is it about to get worse with the government shutdown? And our reporter on the ground in Colombia with tensions rising after another U.S. airstrike in the Caribbean when we join you in the West on Nightly News.